Okay, we're live now. Welcome everyone to the 9th episode of the Invisible Gamecast, brought to you by Invisible Gamer. My name is Gabe Gurwin, and I'm joined by one returning face as of last week's episode and one new face below. We're on a bit of a skeleton crew tonight. So first up there is Austin Clark.
Hey everybody, thanks for having me yet again, guys.
And you'll see one of his new pieces by the time you're watching this after it gets archived, it'll probably be tonight. Tomorrow sometime during the day. But otherwise, another one of his retro weekend pieces is going to be going up. And then the other new face we have here is Jack Ryan, who's been doing features for us.
Yes! Hi.
Okay, so it looks like Eugene will not be on the show. He has a webcam issue he has to deal with because he doesn't have one right now.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah. Anyway, so we have a good show, though. A lot happened this week. I don't want to be a pessimist because video games are fun, but a lot of the stuff we're talking about is kind of bad stuff.
Yeah, not too much.
Interesting,
not too much good stuff going on.
Yeah, it's interesting, and a couple things are pretty cool. But yeah, we have a lot of political gaming stuff to talk about. We'll move away from the politics happening overseas and move to right here in our back door. Literally, one of the things that's happening really close to me.
The more important things.
So first off, yeah, of course. What's more important than video games? Not. Never mind. So, Crytek, they've been around for a long time. They've done the Crisis series before. Crytek UK did a couple of my favorite games like Time Splitters, Second Sight. But they've been in trouble lately, and there's been a lot of news about financial issues they've been having, specifically with their UK branch. But now it looks like that's a little more clear, and they're trying to kind of backtrack on it. Now, we have two stories. I'm going to talk about the older one first so we can kind of see how this progressed. So a couple weeks ago, Jason Schreier from Kotaku, who's done a lot of really good investigative journalism pieces for them, he posted a big thing from employees at Crytek UK saying that people were basically stopping work on their projects because they weren't being paid. And Crytek had not acknowledged it, and the studio managing directors were still coming in with their Ferraris, etc. Now it looks like they have been paid, and then they were pretty much immediately dissolved. Crytek UK no longer exists, and Crytek USA, which was founded pretty recently after THQ collapsed, and it's a lot of ex-Vigil Games employees, has been reduced in staff as well. There's been a lot of layoffs. So, yeah, I just want to think first off, what do you guys think about how the news has come out?
It's been really strange. Normally these things doesn't get by a lot of people, and it's really definitive. Okay, these people are laid off. The studio is shutting down. This has been kind of, over the last couple of weeks, it's more definitive now. But originally it was kind of what the hell is going on over there?
Yeah. Yeah, and we saw usually doesn't end very good when something like this happens. The big one about a year and a half ago, I guess, was the 38 Studios and Big Huge Games fiasco where Kurt Schilling couldn't pay anyone, and that eventually just collapsed. And then, of course, after that happened, God, what was the name of the studio? It was an Epic Games studio basically that was doing it. They was trying to hire a bunch of the people, and then they shut down a couple months afterwards. So, not good news.
Yeah, I'm finding it kind of funny how Crytek is trying to move on to being just a publisher, a free-to-play publisher, and publishers are traditionally hated. A lot of them are anyway. A lot of publishers are really just hated in the industry, and they're not even a publisher yet. They're in that transition period, and they're already in the news and making people mad.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about what they're even them wanting to do that anyway, because their first experiment using that model was just a massive failure. That game Warface that came out. The only country where that has been successful is Russia, and that is the model they want to go on. Point and say, maybe you should have something successful happen before you throw all your eggs into one basket, because Crisis 3 wasn't reviewed extremely well, but it was still a fairly good game, and it got sold pretty well, and Rise was mediocre, but it still sold fairly well, and there were talks of I guess that was the other issue, actually. It wasn't a financial issue at first. Crytek was having problems with Microsoft because Crytek said they would only make a Rise 2, I guess, if they could keep the right to the IP, and Microsoft wanted the Rise IP. They've done that with several games. They'll buy the IP from the original developers, and then, you know. So, I mean, I'm not sure. Rise was a tech demo in, like, you know, the biggest sense of the word. I'm not sure anyone really wanted a sequel to that. It was just kind of to show off the pretty graphics. But this is strange to me because Crytek's mainly known for their technology, not for their, you know, ability to market games well as a publisher.
Yeah, that's why I kind of like, especially at the Crysis series, I'm looking at that, and it kind of makes sense that they would want to be a publisher. Because if you look at Crysis, it's like, you know, that big flashy game, and then just pretty much, in my opinion, a pretty generic shooter anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
It's more focused on the glam of it, and I think that's what they're gonna do. And I don't know if maybe they'll find massive success in Russia, but
yeah, I mean, Crysis 2 I really liked because of the setting, and I actually thought the story was okay, especially near the end. It got pretty good, but yeah, I mean, it's not anything you haven't seen before. You know, it's a man in a super suit, and
yeah, I mean, I didn't mean to say
fine,
they're not good games, but
yeah. But you're right. Like, anytime someone mentions Crysis, especially the original one, it's just, oh, you mean that game my PC can't run?
Yeah.
You know, that sort of thing.
That's what I thought.
If Crytek, maybe if they focused more on kind of the epic game of developing their engine and licensing it out, maybe that'll find them success. But Crytek's engine hasn't exactly been widespread. It's not like Unreal.
Yeah.
It's basically just their games that use it, and, you know, every once in a while you'll find a weird game that's using it. And
yeah, well, we'll see. That might be a big emphasis on why they're making the switch.
So you mentioned, you know, publishers not being so well liked, especially the big ones, but a publisher that's been on the rise lately and has bought up a lot of IP that would have probably otherwise gone bust is Deep Silver. So they bought, of course, Metro and Saints Row from THQ, and Homefront was also a THQ IP, and Crytek had bought that for $500,000. But now we know Crytek is no longer going to be developing Homefront: The Revolution, the sequel. Deep Silver is actually taking over development of that, and they have actually started a new studio to do so. And I'm looking up the name right now, but it's actually set in the same city where Crytek UK is. So a lot of former employees are basically jumping ship to this studio, which is using all the assets from the game that they had so far. Seems like almost it's just an in-name only switch because it is going to be a lot of the same team making the game.
Yeah.
So the name of the developer, if my computer will load.
It's I could be wrong about this.
It's Dambuster.
Dambuster. Yeah.
Yes, Dambuster. And so this is set in the same city in the UK. Come on, computer, you can do this. Nottingham, where Crytek UK was. So the first Homefront didn't interest me like at all. It just seemed like it was trying to be Red Dawn, the video game, and I think we've seen. Did you guys ever play Freedom Fighters?
No.
Yeah.
It was a original like Xbox, PS2, GameCube game. I think it was like 2003, but it was the same idea. It was like a plumber is in New York City, and that's when the Soviet Union attacks in this alternate history where they are taking over the world, and you like defend yourself. It was the same basic idea as like the original Red Dawn movie, and that's what this seemed to kind of be going for, just with North Korea. But Homefront: The Revolution looked like it looks like it's actually doing something a little different with the whole open world kind of scavenging angle. I like that approach, and it seems like it almost shouldn't be associated with the Homefront name because I'm not sure that has a lot of positive vibes from gamers who played it.
Yeah, I can't think of many people that talk to me about Homefront positively.
Yeah, one person asked me if I was getting it when it came out, and I said no and kind of laughed at him. But so these games are actually out now. We're going to be talking about, but the Xbox Games with Gold and PS Plus games for August have been announced. And so first off, obviously Xbox never gets quite as many games. There's right now, I guess, going to be 2 on Xbox One and 2 on Xbox 360. So on 360, you're going to be getting Dishonored starting on the 16th, which is a cool one, and Motocross Madness, which I had not even heard of, but that's going to be available right now if you're watching this. live. You can get that right now.
Right now.
Yes. It's like that's the big thing at these trade shows now. Is and you know when it's available right now. So yeah, those are available right now, and then you can also get Strike Suit Zero and Crimson Dragon, and so those are available on Xbox One. Now, neither of those games actually scored all that well.
No.
Crimson
Dragon looked horrible.
It really. I have it on my Xbox One, so I'm gonna probably play it at some point and see how it is. But last month's were okay. They kept Max the Curse of Brotherhood on for 2 months. I'm not sure exactly why they did that. But we also got Guacamelee last month, the new Super Turbo Championship Edition. So the day that came out, that was free on Xbox One, which was huge, because originally that was a PlayStation game.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is, I think, a good way to get them involved with that. So, are you guys PS Plus subscribers?
Yes, I am.
What about you, Jack?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
if I had a PS4, it totally would be. But...
Oh yeah. So I'm not sure about this month. A lot of people were really excited about it. It's a lot of indie games. So if you're on PS3, you get Crysis 3. So that's free, and you also get on both PS3 and Vita, Dragon's Crown, and a game Proteus, which is an exploration game with no set goals, which is just great. And then Vita owners.
Proteus kind of blew my mind the first time I played it. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Gabe, I'm just remember that conversation we had the other day.
Yeah.
Games that don't have like a true purpose or like a concrete objective.
Mm-hmm.
I told you that there's some that I find really try hard and like can't stand and despise. Proteus is so much that. That is like the epitome of the kind of objectiveless game that I hate.
What does it do that makes you hate it like that?
I don't know.
It doesn't do
another thing.
anything.
Another thing I'm not crazy about, if not done well and kind of just done for the sake of doing it, is 8-bit aesthetics.
Yes, you and I are friends, Jack.
Proteus is one game that I was like, if the only thing you're going to do is walk around, why would you make it 8-bit? Why would you not make it like more to look at?
Yeah, and you know, the argument for that is obviously, well, it's cheap and they're an indie dev and whatever, but I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if I buy that anymore. There's a lot you can do with Unity. Look at, you know, like games like Gone Home. That was made by 6 people and it looked great, or not terrible at the very least. And Vita owners also get, this is a Vita exclusive and it looks really cool. It's called Metrico. Have you heard of this game?
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about it. Yeah. It seemed like a cool little game.
Yeah, so it's like a puzzle platformer and it's set in a world of infographics. Yeah, I have no idea how that's going to play out. Like I'm looking at a screenshot here, and it's like you're jumping on a bar graph, and there's like percentages next to it and loading symbols and stuff. Yeah. And that is going to be debuting for free. Actually, it's not out yet. Games like Outlast and Resogun have also done that. Fez will also be available on all 3 systems, and you know if you download it for one, you get it for the other. And Road Not Taken, which is a new roguelike, is also going to be on PS4. So, cool, I guess. But what I want to actually talk about now is the EA Access program and how Sony's not having it. So have you read about this program at all?
Yeah, I've been reading up on it.
Yeah, I've been very interested in it.
Yeah, so when they first announced this, I was surprised that this was an EA thing because it sounds pretty cool. So for those unfamiliar, the EA Access program is basically for $30. The pricing's weird. Either for $5 a month or for $30 a year, you get access to a vault of Xbox One EA games, and right now that's Battlefield 4, Peggle 2, FIFA, and Madden. And those are the ones that are available. And so you can play those as much as you want if you have the subscription. And then you also get like week early trials and extra little bonuses for games that aren't out yet, and you can carry your saves over. So for instance, like Dragon Age Inquisition, I believe that comes out on November 18th. You can get that on the 11th, and you can start playing it then a week before everyone else, and then your save will carry over to the final game, which is very cool. By the way, why did I say the pricing's strange? Well, it's double as much money to get it per month than to pay for a year of it, which is I don't want to say that's a discount.
Get a year.
Yeah, I don't even want to say like, oh, that's a discount for a year. That's just screwing you for just getting a month of it.
Right.
But Sony said it's not good value, and I think a lot of people who have been very pro Sony, I even saw on message boards, kind of calling them out on it and saying, we think you just don't want something interfering with PlayStation Plus, because this sounds like EA is not going to put any more games into the program. Now, obviously, Crysis 3 was an EA published game, and that was a that's going to be an August release for PS Plus. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like their program early on, Sony was giving away so many AAA games, and at this point, they can't give out games that just came out, so they're giving away a lot of indie games that are new. I think Microsoft's run into a similar problem where they just don't want to. Their first-party support's been so much, less than Sony's over the last generation. They're kind of struggling to figure out what to give. That's why they're giving away like Halo 3.
Yeah, I personally found the call out like pretty undeserved, especially because I kind of wanted to hate this thing when I heard about it. But I looked at it, and I tried my best to find something wrong with it, but it looks pretty good. Like, it looks like a decent value.
Yeah, it's one of those things you can't really, I don't get how Sony could come out and be like, there's not really good value here, because how can you look at it and say that's not a good value?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only way you can look at it that way is if you're saying, well, this is what they're offering now, but they're promising more in the future. It depends on, what that more is going to be. But,
yeah, well, I could say the same thing about the PS4, which has been out for however many months now.
Yeah.
I mean, we got The Last of Us, and that's great, but, I mean, in terms of continually putting out worthwhile games for the PS4, I think they should do a little more before they're calling out.
Yeah, I mean, it was disappointing to me, a little less so now, although I'm sure PS3 owners aren't too happy, because, a couple months ago they switched to a 2-game per system model, where before it was like you were getting 5 games per month if you were a PS3 PS Plus subscriber.
Plus all the backlog was in there too.
Yeah,
normally.
I mean, at one point there was Uncharted 3. There was I guess it was on both systems. You could get Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank. And I'm sure
Infamous, I think, was on there forever.
Yeah, I think it was Infamous or Infamous 2. It might have been both. But yeah, Uncharted 3 was on there like a year after it came out. It wasn't like it had been a really long time. But now, obviously, they're trying to give value to everyone. But there's just when a system's this new, it's kind of hard to do that. Which is Microsoft's running into the same problem. That's why they're giving away shitty indie games for their free games. Because what are they going to do? Give away a game that just came out for $60? On the Vita, I found it's a little easier. Both of Vanilleware's huge Vita games have been given away for free in the past 2 months. So
I think, those games probably don't have that big of a back end. That most of the copies get sold right on the first week, and then
Dragon's Crown had been delayed forever too. So I'm sure that was I bought it when it came out. So and Muramasa had been a Wii game at first, but that only came out maybe 6 months ago, I guess, and now that was given away for free, and I didn't get it when it came out. But I'm glad I got it through PS Plus because it's awesome. It's not as good as Dragon's Crown in my opinion, but it's still pretty good.
I'm excited to play Dragon's Crown.
Oh yeah, it's great. The complaints, the complaints I'm talking about, they are valid. It's kind of perverted, but the
What complaints are you talking about?
Oh yeah. I was looking down for a split second. Yeah, it's kind of distracting, which is why I played as the elf girl who is actually clothed, because it was a little easier to see what was going on. So let me just make sure I'm not skipping anything real quick. I guess we can talk about this now. So Sony, they released their financials, and when comparing them to Microsoft's, it looks like PlayStation's, just the PS3 and PS4, I guess, are outselling Xbox's 3-1, which is more than I expected.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that is going to, carry over. Whoops, I can't see anything. There we go.
I don't know. I didn't think Sony would stay ahead for this long, this much too, especially once the price drop happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because you're looking at what their, I guess, what the offerings are going to be for 2014, and neither system's really offering all that much for the holidays exclusive to their system. But Microsoft's offering a little bit more. You see, a game I'm really excited about, Sunset Overdrive, and then Forza, but Forza's on the 360 as well, and then the Master Chief Collection, which everyone's making a big deal about because it is, a pretty cool thing to see 4 games, remaster with every map that they've ever had. But on Sony's end, they don't have very much lined up besides like Little Big Planet 3, which is also going to be on PS3, Drive Club, which I don't think too many people care about that much. And am I forgetting something? I know like early next year we're going to be getting The Order, but after that it seems like a lot of Sony games are a ways away.
Yeah, I'm surprised, especially with just recent momentum. I see Microsoft slowly going up, and Sony's kind of had this weird, really great games on PS Plus. Next month they're like shit, and like great Last of Us coming out, and then huge gap in between the next great title coming out. So
yeah, I mean, and it's weird because that hasn't been Sony's game for the last couple years. It's been very steady releases compared to like Microsoft and especially Nintendo.
Yeah, and just like all the way up to E3, it's been 100% Sony, and then.
Yeah, I mean, I was still not thrilled with how Microsoft handled the E3 conference because I think they spent a little bit too much time talking about stuff that. Video's playing automatically. That's just great. They spent a little bit too much time talking about certain things, and I don't know. I don't think they announced enough big games at E3. Most people disagreed with me though. As far as the PS4 thing goes, though, No Man's Sky. This was my game of the show.
And many others.
Yeah,
It was a lot of people.
Oh my god. I was so impressed with that game, and the tiny team that's making it. I just hope it can live up to the hype. But I didn't even know this before that it was a PS4 exclusive. I thought they had just been showing stuff on PS4 and they hadn't really talked about. But I guess it's going to be a timed exclusive for PS4 and then it's going to be coming to PC.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I almost always thought it was just going to be a timed exclusive. If it was a timed exclusive, I was just kind of felt like, PS4 kind of got the one up and showing. To show it first. I can't talk.
yeah. I mean, because that's what they did with Destiny, and they do that with a lot of. Well, usually they do that with Assassin's Creed, but this year Xbox got the one up on that. But yeah, like, are you guys as excited about this as I am? Because I'm not even sure exactly what it is. I guess maybe it's just the mystery of the whole thing, which isn't the best thing to get excited about, I suppose.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jack.
What did you guys think? Did you think it was going to be a PS4 exclusive, or?
No, I never did. That's why this whole thing surprised me.
Okay.
Yeah, neither did I.
I wonder if maybe they had funded some of this, and the agreement was that it was going to be timed because with such a small install base, I don't think that a project this ambitious could have survived just on one console's, sales. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it personally affecting PS4 interest at all. I personally, this is just a gut instinct. I don't think it's going to do great on PC. I don't know. It's just a tougher crowd to please, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This just it seems like a very PC game to me, though. The whole procedurally generated. It just kind of seems like the sci-fi Minecraft to me. The way that they're presenting it with all the different. Obviously, there's no building, but all the different elements you can find and kind of the sense of discovery. When they first announced this at the terrible VGX, I actually expected them to say it's on PC, but they said PC and other systems, and that really did surprise me.
Yeah, well, I mean, I really can't say I have I can't really make a judgment on it, just because we know so little. Mm-hmm. And I mean, what we saw was awesome. We all thought it was awesome. If you didn't think it was awesome, you are incorrect. But I don't know. Too many variables. I've seen too many games at E3 that have wowed my pants off, and then,
Well, we know you can walk around a planet, get into a spaceship, fly out into space, and then go into another planet without a load screen. So that right there is pretty much Game of the Year.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. I mean, there's so many games that you get so excited about, and then you just see how many times they have to load. Even Destiny, one area per planet we know now.
Yeah.
Which is really disappointing to me. And
you got load times.
Yeah,
between those
load times. And there's only 5 or 6 confirmed planets right now, and we'll be talking about that in a little bit, but it worries me how excited I'm getting about this because I don't want to be let down when so many games have done that.
Yeah. They have put such an emphasis on the actual planet exploration though.
Yeah.
Whereas other games you might be hoping that it's a little more, but they're not marketing it as that. And No Man's Sky, that's pretty much all they gave us. So if that isn't good, then that's not going to be great for any and all momentum they have going for it.
Yeah, I mean, and the way they're saying they're making it, having everything just kind of being made randomly, means that I think there is a possibility that the game could be as big as they say it's going to be, and but that all just depends on how good their algorithms are, I suppose.
Right.
So moving on to something different. This is weird. So Michel Ancel, who's the creator of Rayman as well as Beyond Good and Evil at Ubisoft, has founded a new indie studio called Wild Sheep, but he's still working at Ubisoft at the same time. And Jack has left us.
Oh no.
Oh no, there he is.
I'm back.
Okay. And so Rayman Legends was one of my favorite games of last year.
So good.
I just thought this was weird. You see a lot of big AAA developers going to an indie studio, but you don't see too many of them trying to split their time like this.
Fisting it.
Oh, geez, that's a term. But
it's a dirty term if you want to make it a dirty term.
Okay, I don't see any other way to make that.
Yeah, he's working. The second studio's right,
It's in Montpellier. It's in the same city.
Yeah. So, I don't see any reason to find bad news in that.
Well, I guess people are just worried about Beyond Good and Evil 2 actually ever coming out, and this kind of seems like maybe he's spreading it.
Well, I will save them all the trouble worrying about it. It's not. It's never coming out.
They teased it so much, though. They teased it again, right as this happened.
Right. I think it's pretty weird. I mean, you hear developer interviews all the time where they talk about working 80-hour weeks and just killing themselves to get a game out, not seeing their families. And that's on one game in one studio.
Yeah.
I don't even see how it's possible to really dedicate yourself to 2 different places.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why you'd want to. I mean, he's been there for so long. I'd figure he'd kind of just want to do. I love the games he makes at Ubisoft, and I hope he makes another Rayman because I do really like those games. But as far as he's concerned, I feel why wouldn't you just want to do something completely different if you have the opportunity to? Apparently it's not a bunch of newbies. He's working with people who have made a lot of big games before, although he didn't say who. They just released one picture to a bunch of outlets. I went to their website and it just said coming soon. There was nothing else there.
Yeah, well, there might be a little bit of uncertainty there. He hasn't really expressed how financially able he is to do this, to commit to it. I mean, I guess pretty well. The dude, Rayman, Beyond Good and Evil, he's got to be all right. But
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it's just a little indecision, or I don't want to fully commit to this, but I definitely love the idea of it. I kind of want to start playing around. I don't know if it's as official as headlines are making it out to be right now.
The thing is, though, if you're Ubisoft, you'd figure there'd be a stipulation in contracts that you can't work in another studio while you're working at Ubisoft.
That's pretty weird too.
Because you see, all the guys from 2K Marin left and formed Fulbright, and then Dim Bulb out of that because the dude who founded that's not very creative. But you don't see too many actually all do something like this while they're still working there. and you just wonder if they're gonna run into problems later on because of that. But that's all we know or so far. So I want to move on to something. It just surprised me, I guess, a little bit. Killer Instinct is going to be getting a retail release after being a free-to-play downloadable game. Granted, you had one character and you bought the rest, but it's going to come with all the characters from Season 1 as well as combo from Season 2 earlier. And I might actually get this because combo is the only character I was waiting for, and I really, really want to play as them, and I guess you'll get it early.
Yeah, this is some pretty cool news. Like, Killer Instinct's a good fighting game. At least
it really is.
What I played of it, I really liked it.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people that I would rather just buy a full package of it with all the characters than buy a piecemeal.
I'm kind of divided because I already have it on my Xbox One, and I kind of don't want to have to, get something else if I already have it. But I really want combo, and I'm not usually a big fighting game fan anyway. It's just not usually my genre, but I did really like what I played of this game, and it's fun to play with friends.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. There's some things I really like about this retail. Some things I really don't like. I like the idea of like one big pack, and then moving forward, having the option of DLC. Fighters are one thing. I'm all for DLC. On the other side of it, I don't know. I'm kind of scared like other games taking this model, especially if Crysis or Crytek is entering the publisher game. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think of the model? I'm curious of what you guys think of it.
I mean, this is kind of the model I thought they were going to go with originally, except I thought it would just be a downloadable. I actually made a thing for last E3. It was my what Microsoft has to do to win us back thing, and I thought they were going to be releasing a 360 Killer Instinct over the summer before the Xbox One came out, and so it ended up being an Xbox One, free-to-play sort of model. But I mean, this isn't really that different from what they've offered before. It seems like they're just kind of appeasing the physical media crowd, because if you look at how much it costs to get like the season pass or whatever for the digital version of the game, it's the same. It's not like there's any disparity there. But I mean, I guess it's just another option for people who are more comfortable just buying a disc. And I typically like having discs just because I like having them sitting on my shelves more than anything. It's not as much fun to say look at my game collection when you have to then boot up your system and scroll through all your folders.
Yeah, I think just by principle, I kind of don't like it, because I love the idea of the model, like the digital model, when it got revealed and as it panned out, and now that it's going to be that physical package, it's kind of just like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when it's this far along, like the game's been out for what, like?
Yeah, it's been out for
8 months, almost 9 months at this point. Yeah, I see this is just kind of a way of like saying, hey, if you want to get caught up, here it is, and then you can be ready to go for the rest of it. But it does still seem kind of redundant anyway, because it's not like it's that hard to download the characters on your system. And if you have an Xbox One, you should have good internet anyway. I don't know. I might actually get this though, just because if I'm gonna get them anyway, just have it on my shelf, and it's only $20.
It's alright. You don't have to explain yourself to the audience.
But you see, that's where you're wrong, Jack. Because if you say you like an Xbox Online, you are required by law. Actually, there's internet law to defend yourself and explain that you might just like Halo. On the contrary, if you say you like PlayStation, even if you in the same sentence say that you also like to smother puppies in their sleep, you'll be praised. N4G, you were kind of the worst, even though we post our stories on you. I should say your community is the worst, because your site's good, but go by the way, just anyone watching this, go to n4g.com right now and look at the trending stories on the top. I'm going to do it with you.
All right.
We'll see how many.
I'm in.
Okay.
Do it.
Sony. Okay, so the first one actually is a Sony bashing story. I'm surprised about that.
Feels like highway robbery.
Everybody wants to comment against it.
So PlayStation Now has been getting a lot of crap. I will give them that. Naughty Dog talking about how great it is, or is this the one that is about going to Bungie? This my oh no, this Infinity War. This is backfiring on me. Let's keep going. Let's keep going down the line because there's another page. Okay, is The Last of Us the best game ever made? Why the creators of Halo left Microsoft to make Destiny? The Last of Us remastered cutscene models are used in game. Praises PS4 architecture. There is not a single Xbox One story in the top. It is all PlayStation. One of them's bashing them, the rest are not. Yeah, so it's kind of hard to get your news for gamers when stuff like this happens, and you know, they say the cream rises to the top, but I think it's more just the stuff that people want to read rises to the top. That's the same reason why you see reviews for games that aren't out yet getting thumbs down or thumbs up when, you know, depending on whether the person wanted the game to be good or not, and they take their aggression out and misattribute it to whoever's reviewing the game.
Yeah, I think Invisible Gamer, we would give more fair coverage to the Xbox One, but we're actually cool, so
yeah,
you know, kind of by default,
Cool.
we can't really go in there.
Yeah. I mean, we can't. I try to talk about it, but you know, then people start handing me pocket protectors, and
It's like, come on,
it's like, nope, gotta go play my Ouya.
gotta go beat up some nerds.
Yeah, with my Ouya, because it's worthless. I
Yeah.
don't have one, but I could if I wanted to, because they're selling them for nothing at Target. So let's put our serious faces on, because we're talking lawyer stuff right now. So last year, one of the worst games of last generation came out, Aliens: Colonial Marines, and now there's a big lawsuit going on. And you figure it would be from Sega, but no, the lawsuit is actually against Sega and Gearbox, basically just saying this game sucked and we're going to sue you for it, because that's the world we live in.
That's America. America!
Beautiful country.
Oh boy.
Are you suing them, Gabe?
I didn't get this game.
Oh. Yeah, it doesn't mean you can't sue them.
While the iron's hot, we should hop on it.
Yeah, I mean, so the interesting thing though is there are there's two plaintiffs in this case. Damien Perrine and John Locke. I assume it's not the philosopher. So John Locke, I guess, is kind of the primary plaintiff. I don't know what the actual term is right now, because he's the one who's actually still kind of moving forward with his lawyer on this case, because Damien Perrine is in jail for assault and weapons charges in Pittsburgh, in Westmoreland. I guess he was in Westmoreland County, which is pretty close to me. Now he's in Allegheny County, which is the same county I live in. And so basically they're saying that, well, it's the same thing that a lot of people have said. This game was misrepresented at trade shows and in trailers, and that was not real gameplay footage. They changed it, and they released something else that they knew was not as good as what they had already showed. It's going back and forth, and Gearbox is trying to strike it down, basically saying that, well, it's kind of a fair point. They're saying, well, you know, good is subjective, and if there's any other reasons why someone didn't like it besides what you said, there's no real, nothing to, you know, base it on. And some people did like the game. I used to podcast with someone who really, really liked that game. He liked all shooters, to be fair, but.
Interesting. You wanted us to say something about that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I was waiting.
Not the satisfaction game.
The silence was just like an Alien, which is better than
I honestly believe you just made up that story.
No. I did not make any of that up. And so this is from Game Informer where I saw this. But you can read these if you go to this. We'll link to the in the description. We'll link to this. And there's scans. Actually, they're not even scans. They're PDFs. You can highlight and search for words if you want. Of these documents, which are from a district court in the Northern District of California. But there's one point I left out, actually. And someone in the comments of this article actually pointed this out. I'll find his username so that you guys can send him your thanks. Game Informer actually is a really good community. Where is he? Come on. Okay, his name is A991807. And he has a picture of Rob the Robot. Anyway, he pointed out, so Perrine, he was in jail, but they didn't know that when the case started, and they were sending him requests basically like asking what do you want to do to move forward, his lawyers were, and he didn't respond to any of them. Then they found out he had been arrested, but it said that he had been bailed out, and so they kept sending him this stuff. Found out that he was actually still in prison, and then his lawyer couldn't find him, so he had to hire a private investigator to find out where he was. In jail. He was still in jail, and they couldn't figure it out.
That's high society for you.
This is one of the weirdest video game stories we've covered, but I think it's more interesting than just talking about what games have come out, which we will do. But
I don't know. I feel like it's just upsetting. Like
I don't have all too much to say.
Why do people do this? Like, it just makes me feel like I can go to the movies and then sue the studio because their trailer ruined the movie for me or something.
Like democracy.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, people were mad. Do you see the TMNT thing that came out this week?
No, I don't think so.
There was a tweet. I think they took it down. They apologized, but the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Twitter account posted a poster on their Twitter, basically saying, in theaters September 11th, and the picture is of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles diving out of an exploding building. Yeah, ouch. And I think it was like an Australian company that made it, so yeah, it's...
Wow.
Don't want to do that in New
Blew
York.
it! Oh, that wasn't good. That was...
Too
soon. Words there.
So this movie's going to be awful, let's be fair, because Megan Fox is in it and Michael Bay is involved.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely going to be bad.
And, oh my god, those turtles are so freaking creepy. Have you seen the commercials?
Mm-hmm. They look like rabbits.
They look like freaking Michael Jackson is what they look like. They all have his nose. And some fan went in and like digitally altered a screenshot to show what the turtle should look like, and it looks so much better.
Yeah, I will say I'm not going to see this movie. I did not think it looks good, but it looks less bad than I thought it would, if that's worth anything.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll give you that.
Speaking of looks less bad, anyone watch Sharknado 2, the second one?
No, I didn't even know it was actually on.
Oh, yes. It was on the other night. I think it was Wednesday night. Man,
Yeah, I didn't watch it, but I got a haircut yesterday, and my hairdresser just explained the entire thing to me. I did not ask. She just went at it. She was very passionate about this film, so.
You have to put that in parentheses.
I do know the plot of the movie.
Oh yeah, I mean Did she talk to you about the cameos?
If I dig hard enough, I could probably.
Okay, so the dude who played the main character in Airplane is at the beginning, playing a pilot, and he says a lot of the same lines, and it's funny. Will Wheaton is in it. Jared from Subway is in it. Yeah, who else is in this movie? What's her name? One of the Kelly Osbourne, is that her name?
Yeah.
Is there anybody?
If it's Kelly Osbourne, then
20 years in it.
What's up?
Is there anybody relevant from like the past 10 years in it?
No, Richard Kind is in it as well. And now he basically does encore frozen dinner commercials.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's not too many people who. I mean, I think Will Wheaton's actually more relevant now than he was a few years ago because he's hosting a show on that channel, I believe. But yeah, it's strange. It's very, even the blood is CG. They don't even use like fake prop blood. They use CG blood to like purposely make it look terrible. But
yeah. So how many sharks out of 10 tornadoes would you give it?
Oh God, I mean it's gotta be 10 out of 10 shark tornadoes, and I don't even know if that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's not.
So in a couple weeks, there's going to be another movie, Sharktopus versus Terracuda, and that stars Conan O'Brien.
I also heard about this from my hairdresser.
Of course he did.
Yeah. Now, she's not as excited for this one.
I'm just excited for it because it's the first real movie he's ever been in. And he's been like hyping it up. He posted like a 4-year Oscar and Emmy consideration poster.
I honestly, I might watch it for Conan.
I mean, the thing about these movies is that they're not like The Room or movies like that they say they're so bad they're good, because these movies are made purposely to be laughed at.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole point. And all the characters are super serious in it, but it's supposed to be tongue in cheek, and they do it very well. I I like that the studio's been doing this instead of their mockbusters. That the studio, they do movies like the 18-year-old version instead of the 40-year-old version, movies like that. But now they're just doing these dumb monster movies. Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus. That was the first big one they did. Anyway, it's a video game podcast. As much as I want to talk about Sharktopus and Sharknado and Mega Shark and Mecha Shark and every other shark movie they've done, I want to talk about something weird. And this is, I'm really mad about this actually. So Destiny, it has normal story missions. There's strike missions, which are big 3-person affairs, and then 6-player raids. Now we know these 6-player raids can only be played with friends. You cannot do matchmaking for them.
What?
I don't have 6 people to play Destiny with.
Yeah. Not many people do.
Especially this early on. I have 3 or 4.
I had missed this headline, and I saw 6-player raids, and I was like, oh, that's kind of, that's not that many people. Yeah. Are you saying that it demands exactly 6 people?
I think it does, and you have to play with your friends. Here's the quote. This is from Eurogamer.
That is absurd.
They said the activity is going to take you and your group of 5 buddies into a place that you've never been, a place you will return to frequently, which means reusing maps, and it will demand of you things you've never ever even really been asked to do in a shooter before. Okay, I assume they don't mean shoot. So I really like the Destiny beta. But this is just strange to me, because the thing about Destiny that made it so good was you didn't really even have to think about who you're playing with. It was just go to this place. All right, you're playing with these people. Go.
Yeah, 6 is a very strange specific number.
Yeah, but you'd think with a number that small that matchmaking would not be an issue. It's not let's pick up Karazhan run. Any World of Warcraft players? No, that didn't go very well.
Yeah. You lose, Gabe.
I tried to do that once, and it was the worst thing I've ever done in my life. Even doing that with my guild. I don't play anymore. But, God, this game, it's so weird though. Usually you're excited for Watch Dogs or games like that. You get excited for them, and then maybe it starts getting tempered a little bit as the game gets closer to launch, and you see this thing isn't as good as you thought. This thing wasn't. But this is a game where I was well, this could be pretty good, and then I played it and was done, day 1 by, and now this info is all coming out afterwards, because you expected it to be oh, this is just a taste, and now you're thinking maybe we played more of the game than we thought we did.
Mm-hmm. That's just such a specific number. I can't get over it.
That's what you're harping on.
I wish I had more to say, but that is just very strange to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess with a shooter, they don't want to make you feel irrelevant, because you're still, at its heart, it's not it's not really an MMO. It's still a shooter.
I'm trying to think of other games that demand a certain number like that, and I can't really think of any.
They scale. That's the thing. If you're playing Halo and you have 4 people in co-op for the single, it's going to be a lot harder. Or there's going to be a lot more enemies, at least, than if you're playing one person.
And it's one thing to say, okay, you need 6 players to have a round of this, and it's another thing to say you can only play this locally, or whatever, you can only play this with friends.
Mm-hmm.
But to smash those 2 together.
Yeah, and one of the comments I saw on this was, it's true. Where is it? Basically, it said, well, this will be overturned as soon as people get pissed and realize that's an awful choice.
Yeah.
And I think it's true. This is obviously this is coming out on the 360 and the PS3 also, which have huge install bases, so you might have more people to play with. But still, that's more of an issue for matchmaking when you're just looking for people to play with. Your friends, they just might not be on, and you have to get 5 of them together. And this is not like a hardcore MMO where you're in a guild and everyone, everyone knows what to do and they know their schedules and stuff like that. This is not that sort of game. I don't play console games for that. I never will. That's kind of the reason why I stopped playing WoW, is because I was sick of having to be on someone else's schedule. And even if these aren't a super big part of the game, that's kind of a whole crowd you're kind of locking out of content, essentially.
Yeah, it always seemed like Destiny was trying to be this accessible blend between a shooter and an MMO, and
it's
then
like chocolate and peanut butter.
You do something like this, and it completely pulls the rug out.
Yeah, it's like adding spam into it. Instead, it's like
Spam and peanut butter.
Something some people like. Not me. Spam's the worst. Or, oh god, I don't know.
And then, do we know if like specific weapons or content are going to be like kind of locked behind these raids at all? Because that's even worse than if.
Yeah, that's. Like, do we know that?
It says that multiple. It says that you have to be a certain level to access them. Like it says, players who are level 25 will be able to access level 25 raids, for example, but even then may not be able to finish them. Multiple attempts may be needed to begin looting the event for better gear, then trying again. So there's also going to be like weekly activities. This is funny. It says weekly Nightfall activities. Isn't that the name of the Halo series that's coming out?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's Ghosts. I'm beginning to think this is all a big conspiracy, and Halo 5 Guardians is already out. Because
it's
we're playing as Guardians.
Destiny.
You heard it from Invisible Gamer first.
Yeah.
Put that on N4G.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will get
banned.
banned.
Trending topics.
I will get banned immediately if I do that. So here's something. Flappy Bird is back.
I've heard things. Yes.
It's called Flappy Bird Family now, and it has co-op or at least two-person multiplayer.
Yeah.
I still have the original on my phone.
I
wanted it to be a
it.
collector's
I
item.
deleted it because I was kind of thought it was the worst, and then I saw people selling their phones for like $800 because it had Flappy Bird on it, and I felt like an idiot. And people were buying them, who are bigger idiots. If you did that, like, you should seriously considering just getting rid of your bank account, maybe moving into a mental institution.
Like, even if you're
dulling
rich
all your blades.
beyond belief,
Not ever reproducing.
Yeah, I mean I said don't dull all your blades, but keep one. Chop your genitalia off.
Yeah.
Feed those to your dog if I don't know. You probably don't feed them anyway. And then just never leave your room.
That's how we should end it. That should be the final statement.
I want to talk about a good game to end this. Something I'm really excited about. So, The Last of Us Remastered came out a few days ago, and it is The Last of Us. But it's,
How can you remaster a masterpiece?
Adding 60 FPS. That's basically it. This game, if you look in screenshots and when I saw videos of it, I was thinking, that looks literally exactly the same. Like, I couldn't see any difference, and of course, because I'm a console peasant and a plebe and all that sort of stuff, everyone points out, no, you see, like, you can see the tessellation and the infidelity.
Yeah.
And then
I liked how Michael, when we were all talking about it, he's like, "You don't see the difference? Are you crazy?"
I couldn't, and then I played it, and I still didn't really notice the difference, and then I went into the options and I saw there was the walk at 30 FPS option, and I clicked on that and then started walking again and went, holy shit. I cannot play it this way. Looks it's one of those things where you don't realize what you're missing until you turn on 60 FPS, and I don't notice it really or mind it in games that's like their option, but when you switch down, you notice it. Everything looks blurrier just because it's not switching as quick.
Yeah, you were telling me, you're like, I can't go back.
Yeah. And I'm like Jonah. If he was on the show, he'd be talking about like Dark Souls is his jam now, and he doesn't think that game could do anything that it does if it wasn't at 60 FPS. And I still don't really think that's the case with this. Like, it's still playable. It just doesn't look as nice and doesn't feel as good. But yeah, I mean, there are some games that really didn't bother me. Like Battlefield 3 was 30 FPS. I didn't really care. DMC even, that was a fast action game. That was 30 FPS and it didn't bother me. But this, it's not even a particularly quick game. But The Last of Us, it feels like this is the way it should be played. What's funny though?
Do you think it takes away the cinematic qualities at all? Because that's one of the things some people debate with is like 30 frames is more movie quality, whereas 60 frames you get that it's so fluid that it looks more gamey.
Well, until we reach the point where we don't notice the uncanny valley, I don't think that's going to be an issue. But the cutscenes still look a little bit more almost like a washed out sort of look, but like it's done on purpose to do a grainy sort of look. But no, it looks great. The cutscenes look amazing. And the character models are closer to the cutscenes, but there's something else about it besides just the characters that makes them not look as good as the cutscenes. I'm not sure exactly what it is. But no, I don't really think that's an issue. But yeah, I mean, like, it's a great looking game. It still looks good, but it's not like leaps and bounds above anything else. It's basically just I didn't have The Last of Us because I didn't own a PS3, and this is kind of a no-brainer because $50 came with that and came with the Left Behind DLC, which everyone raves about. So,
Oh, you are in for a treat, my friend.
Yeah, that's what I hear. It's funny, the comic series they did, American Dreams, which Neil Druckmann co-wrote, got a lot of good reviews, but the one site that didn't give it a good review was Invisible Gamer. Nathan Butler, a guy who used to write for us and did a lot of really good stuff for us, he hated the comic books, and they were Dark Horse. I'm not a big comic reader, but I like Dark Horse more than some of the other publishers. They just kind of do stuff I enjoy. But this seems like it's a very similar story, and I didn't think that I really needed any more of Ellie's story because I have played the main game before, but now I think I'm nearing the end. If I remember correctly, I'm about 9.5 hours in, so I think I have a couple left.
Yeah, you got a few.
Yeah, I'm in where am I right now? Colorado, I guess. I left the university.
Okay.
But does this interest, like, would you ever repurchase a game like this that came out this close to when the original did?
I mean, I have played The Last of Us. I don't own it. I think even if I had played it, if I didn't own it on PS3, I would buy it on PS4, which is your same situation, right, Gabe?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
If I did already own it, there's no way in hell I would buy it again.
Yeah, I don't think there's a reason.
And personally, I think this is a very, very isolated incident of a game this will work for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Something that came out this close. I mean, you can't really do this unless it's a game that came out, on the edge between two console generations. But yeah, I mean, so many people went PS4. I think that didn't have a PS3 off the bat. And then you look at like Microsoft has a very different situation because they had these games that came out 3 years apart from each other, all the Halo games, to put them out all at once on a new system to play all on the same disc, I think. But I don't think Sony's done. I really want to see an Uncharted collection because the only Uncharted game I own is Golden Abyss, and I want to play the first 3.
Yeah.
Besides that, I don't really know any other game series that they'd really do this with.
Yeah. I also kind of just have this impression that it is going to be a trend that I don't think we're going to go too overboard with it. I don't think it's going to be obnoxious, but I think this is far from the Last of
Us.
Last of Us, yeah.
Last of Us Remastered.
Last of them.
Yeah. I don't think this is the last Sony exclusive we're going to see from the PS3 that makes its way over to the PS4. Uncharted, I think I would actually buy Uncharted.
I mean, just all 3. I mean, think about it wasn't even a remastering, but just pretty soon after Mass Effect 3 came out, they released Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And I expect that's one series I really expect that they're going to do that with, probably on both systems. They've teased it. I'm almost positive a BioShock collection is coming. That's going to be all 3 because 2K was teasing BioShock stuff a couple days ago and just said like, what could this mean?
Yeah, just like.
And I'd love that since like BioShock Infinite's my favorite game of all time, and I have my 360 put away right now, and I'd gladly play it again. DMC even. This was a rumor and they haven't said too much about it, but DMC Ultimate, it was supposed like a. I guess. Maybe they're going to make a sequel to DMC. I really hope they do because I love that game. But fanboys will be fanboys.
They could put the that Virgil DLC together with the game.
It's not even worth it, man. I mean, that DLC was free.
I know.
Yeah,
Just
that
saying.
DLC was free if you pre-ordered it, and they said it was 5 hours long, and I beat it in less than 2. It was not a good DLC. It was way different. It seemed like it was made by a B team than the people who made the main game, which was really well.
Virgil just didn't control very well.
No, he was really stiff. Yeah, he was really stiff. He didn't have as many attacks. There was only really one boss, and then the game just ended after you fought some regular enemies, and you're like, wait, that's it? It was kind of cool seeing the story stuff, and I do actually really like DLCs that do that motion comic sort of look.
Yeah.
I really, really like that. I like it. There was a when The Walking Dead, when the show first started, they also released the whole first comic and basically the story of the first episode as one of those kind of motion comic things, and I really, really like that.
Have you? Well, you said you didn't have PS3. I was going to ask if you've seen any of the Uncharted things. They had some motion comics.
No, I did not.
It's like Eye of the Indra. They might even be online. You might be able to find them.
I'm gonna look those up. I know, like, it was a little bit disorienting. I wasn't crazy about the way they did it in Infamous Second Son, and I guess they did it in the other Infamous games too. But those were very, very comic booky. Well, Second Son otherwise was not.
Yeah, I don't think Second Son handled it well. The other two games handled it better.
Second Son is still my favorite game on the PS4 right now. Like, I love the way that game plays. But yeah, it was, and Delsin's there's no question Delsin's a better character than Cole was. But besides that, yeah, I guess that sort of tone was a little bit scattered in Second Son because they wanted to kind of, I don't want to say make it gritty, but make it just a little bit more accessible to people who don't like comic books as much.
Yeah, I think so.
So I guess that'll about wrap it up. A little bit shorter episode this week. Hopefully we'll be back next week. We have a lot of stuff going on, and I'm going to be moving back to school, so you're going to see the setting change. So if something like that happens, I apologize in advance. But otherwise, we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.